evening, everybody. Welcome to our relatively short practice tonight. We're going to do some restorative poses. And these restorative poses are great to do after your work day, after you've been sitting all day, just to get some movement into the lower back and to open up the chest a little bit. So if you don't have props, it's not really that critical. You can go and grab the back cushion off of your sofa or use some throw pillows. Typically bed pillows are a little bit too soft unless you have a foam pillow, like a memory foam one. I have bolsters. They're actually made from pillows that are rolled up and tied together. So you could also kind of do that with a pillowcase, maybe wrap a pillowcase tightly around a pillow. You'll probably also need a blanket of some kind and something that could be used for a block, maybe 2 smaller rolled up towels or some books. I've seen people use bags of flour, whatever you've got handy. So the first pose that we're going to do is a little bit of a lower back bend. And this is a pretty traditional restorative pose called reclining bound angle or Supta Baddha Konasana. I'm going to take my larger cushion, and this could be even wider than the width of your body, but something that's about the length of your torso, the height of your torso, and lay it parallel on the mat, and then place the hips directly in front of the bolster. I do have yoga blocks, so your rolled up towel or whatever you want is going to go on the outside of your legs, and I need to grab my other one. So on the outsides of your thighs, I like to angle them toward me so that the corner isn't hitting my leg. And then I'm going to lay back. Now as I go onto the bolster, if your pillow is shorter than your torso and your head ends up off the back, better to put something under the head as well. Head might be a little higher even than your torso. I can already tell that this is a lot of back bending for my low back, so I'm just going to bring my hands under my pelvis and shift forward just a tiny bit like I'm tucking, and then lay it down, and then I can relax much more easily. So adjusting everything until you feel like you can completely let go. Make sure you are touching the end of the pillow. Make sure your arms are down. And then start to notice first just what does it feel like to be in this position. Restorative poses are a wonderful way to give your body and your mind just a moment of quiet. So as you're noticing, feel the sinking of the back of your body against the ground. This could be done on the floor, or you could even do these poses on the bed. So if you're having trouble getting all the way down to the floor, absolutely could do this from a bed. As you continue to settle into the position, notice what the breath starts to feel like. Do you feel that there might be some additional sensation of your breath down into the abdomen? So that the belly is expanding as you're breathing in, and it relaxes as you're breathing out. So just observe. observe where your mind tends to wander. Does it wander into worrisome places? Or can you stay focused more on what's happening right now? What's happening now in your body? What's happening now in your breath? Observe as well, are there any areas that tend to resist the relaxation of this position? Some areas that you might want to watch are shoulders and the groins. If those parts of your body are tightening or trying to be held, you might shift something. You might be able to wiggle that tension out. You might be able to change your position a little bit until something relaxes greater. But oftentimes there are holding patterns in our bodies that it's very challenging for us to completely let go of these areas. So you might direct some breath into an area that feels especially tight, or it has a chronic injury. So if you find an area like that, just imagine that your breath could go directly into that joint or that muscle. And then you relax the breath out and imagine inhaling directly there and relaxing the breath out. Now, if you want to, you could stay in this position for as long as you like, up to 10 to 15 minutes. As long as your low back is comfortable and the neck and head feel okay, you could rest this way. But I am going to show you a few more things. So as you feel ready to get up, and start to just move the fingers and move the toes. Even a short hold of these poses is very beneficial, especially, like I mentioned before, if you've been sitting all day. Let's gather up our knees and step on the soles of the feet. And move your leg supports to the side. And actually, let's move off of this bolster. I'm just going to slide off and kind of roll everything out of my way so that I can lay back down on the mat. Option here, if you want a pillow, go ahead and grab that and stick that under your head. And then either using your little rolled up towels, or if you have your couch cushion, you could, and it's not too heavy, you could lay it to one side of your body on the legs. And I've got mine to my right. So this next position is a twist. I'm going to pick up my pelvis and shift it over away from my pillow and just lay it back down. So I'm kind of crooked on the mat now. And then let the knees come in. Bottom knee is going to go just parallel to the mat. Other knee is on top. Now, sometimes this knee won't come all the way down. In which case you could put, your little roll towel or whatever you've got handy in between, so that you want this knee to actually be able to touch something so that it can rest. Also, this left arm is going to stretch back. Hopefully that left shoulder can come to the floor, but if it's not getting to the floor, you could also support that arm. So you want to have as much of your body touching down on the floor as possible so that you can actually start to sink into the floor. This right hand might rest on top of the top thigh, or it could just rest out from the shoulder. So very different feeling. Now we're in a twist, not a back bend. You're going to notice that the sides of the waist should feel nice and stretched, and that especially this left side, the side facing upward, you're going to notice some additional opening. This left arm and chest and shoulder might also feel more open. The head might stay facing the ceiling, or an option would be to turn the head away from the knees, just maybe 10 to 15 degrees of a head turn, not very much, so that you feel the whole spine rotating. So for the twists, we don't typically stay quite as long, maybe a few minutes. So same method as before. You start with the body, observing the body. Where do you feel the pressure against the ground, the sensation of gravity? A lot of pressure on this right buttock, on the right side of the torso, the outside of that right leg, and then the backs of both of your arms. Where does the body feel like it's being lengthened? Specifically, maybe this left side of the spine. Notice the breath in this new position of your torso and ribs. On the left side, it feels a lot more spacious than it does on the right side. Are there any spots that don't feel like they want to relax? And if you need to, add more support or change your position until things start to let go more. Never want to lay in a restorative yoga posture where you're in pain. These are all about just releasing into the ground. And then once you feel like you can do that, then you start to move awareness to the breath, and even into what's happening in the thoughts. Not to push any thought away, but just allow your mind to kind of float along as thoughts come in and as thoughts go out, without trying to grasp or hold on to any one thought. And take 3 more breaths, nice and easy. Reach down for the prop between the legs, move that out of your way. Lift up the top leg, roll to the back. You're going to feel kind of skewed on your mat. Drop your feet down and shift your pelvis to the center. And then roll your leg support over to the other side of your body, parallel to the mat, on the floor though. And let's shift the pelvis away from the prop. So on my right side now, knees to the chest, left leg to the bolster, See if that feels good. That's a little too much, so I'm gonna stick that block back between my knees again, just to rest my left hand on top of my thigh, and my right arm is gonna swing back and the head might turn. And again, if that shoulder doesn't feel like it is supported well enough, you could add a little bit of pillow here on the under the forearm so that it's nice and easy. And now the reverse is true in terms of how your torso is positioned. So you may feel more space on your right side, a little more pressure on the left. How does that change what the breath does? Continue to compassionately observe the mind. Our minds are always moving toward the future, looking for what's next, what's coming. Can you focus more on what's happening now? And again, take 3, 4 more long breaths. Listening to the signals that it's time to get out of the pose, and the top knee will lift, the bottom knee will lift, feet come to the ground, and you shift your hips back to the center. Okay, one more pose. Let's take those knees to the chest first. Just give yourself a little squeeze. Now, if you're on your bed, you could turn yourself around to put your feet on your headboard. Not a window, please, but just something stable. If you don't have a headboard, or if you have a window right beside the back of the bed, then you could instead take your pillows and stack them up so that you basically end up lying on your back with your calves higher than your hips, but supported. I'm going to show that same position with a chair. That's the easiest thing to do unless you're on a bed, in which case you'll have to use pillows. But if you're on the floor, or even use your sofa is a really great thing to use for this. This is a yoga chair, so it's a folding chair, and you'll notice it does not have a back to it, it has a bar. So the goal with this is to put your heels a little bit higher than your knees. So supporting your legs in that way. For this metal chair, I need to flip it the other way around so that the seat is actually facing away from my body. But if you're in a regular chair, like a kitchen chair, you probably have it turned the other way. But you could just take the end of your blanket or towel and just make a little fold in the back so that the heels are up here. And then you would lay back down and elevate the legs so the back of the knee is on the edge of the seat and the heels are slightly higher. So you can see that the legs are inverted here. And that's the key kind of magic position for both the immune system and our stress levels. Now, not everyone is comfortable in this position. So if this is too high, if there's too much pressure anywhere, you could also simply take the legs down, put a little pillow under the back of the knee, and be down on the floor with the legs or on the bed. But let your arms either rest out or on your body somewhere. For me, that feels better out. If this doesn't make the shoulders feel good, rotate them open. Palms are up if they're open. And then we just settle again into the back of the body. Feel the floor holding you. Let the legs completely relax, so the knees will likely roll slightly outward. You are welcome to support the back of the head if that feels more comfortable. So in this position, we are allowing our blood to start to come back toward the heart, and there are some baroreceptors in the torso that actually start to read that as a change in your blood pressure. So it sends a signal to the brain to reduce the blood pressure. So this is a great pose if you're feeling a little bit stressed or anxious. If at all you feel hot in the face or you feel like pounding sensation in the head, you would want to bring your legs back down. Those are signs that this is not for you right now. So you would just lay in a relaxation pose instead. Still checking out all those layers. So first the body. Is there any part of your body that seems somewhat unwilling to let go? Maybe some of the same areas you observed before. Make sure you're supported enough, and then maybe check in with breathing into those spots. See if the breath can't soften the body. Continue to feel your breath smoothly coming in and smoothly going out. And just observe, not every breath will be the same length. Some are short, some are long. There might even be a pause for a second or two, natural, quiet moment. So while we're here, I'll lead us through a body scan. We'll start at the feet and move toward the head, and then down the arms to the hands. So this is just another way to keep your mind focused on the now, so it doesn't wander into worry or into the future or into the past. So start by just feeling intensely, what physical sensations do you notice from the soles of your feet? And then notice all 10 toes. No need to move them, just observe the sensation coming from the toes. Feel the tops of the feet, your ankles, the calves, the pressure of the calves resting on the chair. Feel the front of the shins. Feel the fronts of the knees, backs of your knees, and the fact that the knee is bent partially. Feel the backs of your thighs, the fronts of your thighs, the groin area, the pelvic floor, and the buttocks. Notice where the buttocks touch the ground and then where they don't touch the ground. Feel the lower part of your back. Feel the lower part of your abdomen, the navel, and the line of the waist all the way around. Feel the lower part of the front rib cage, the solar plexus region. Follow that band all the way around to the middle back. Continue moving upward into the whole spine. So go back down to your tailbone and trace the spine all the way from center to the base of your skull. Then feel the area of the back ribs that touches the floor, the area of the side ribs that doesn't touch the floor, and then the front of the rib cage and chest. Feel the center of the heart area, the sternum, the right collarbone, the left collarbone, the armpits, the joints of your shoulders, the shoulder blades in the back. Feel the upper arms, the elbows, outer elbow points that touch the ground, inner elbows soft and relaxed. Feel the part of the forearm that might be resting on the floor and the inside of the forearm. Feel your wrist, both sides, backs of the hands, palms of the hands, all 10 fingers, and then just your thumbs. From there, move up to the top of your head, crown of your head. Feel your forehead, smooth and released. Right temple, left temple, right eye and eyebrow, left eye and eyebrow, and then the space in between the eyebrows. Feel the nose, the right nostril, left nostril, right cheek, left cheek, right ear, left ear. Feel the jaw, the upper lip and lower, and the front of your throat. Allow that awareness to settle back near the space of your heart, the energetic heart, which we think of as being in the center of the chest. And just let the breath kind of flow through that area of the chest, lightening any heavy emotions that you might be feeling, allowing those things to start to dissipate. And again, you are welcome to stay here for just as long as you like. It's helpful if you need to set a timer. Set a timer for another 5 to 10 minutes. Try not to be on your cell phone though, so if you use your phone for a timer, set it down. But then when you are ready, you'll just start to move a little bit, fingers and toes, and then carefully bring your feet to the edge of the chair, and you might want to rock a little bit from side to side with the legs before rolling over carefully to your side. Support your head and stay there for a breath or two. Just notice, allow your blood pressure to kind of catch up with your motion. Notice how you feel after those 3 restorative poses, and then carefully pushing yourself off the floor. All right, that was our short restorative practice. I hope that that's helpful, and bring our hands to our hearts.